Well, Republicans will control the House, Senate, and the White House for the first time since 2006. So what can we expect from the GOP? And has Donald Trump already flexed his muscles with the party by getting them to back off on that plan to gut the Congressional Ethics Office? It's been a busy start to the new year. Joining me now, executive editor of the Weekly Standard, Fred Barnes. It's the Barnes Show. We've gone from Peter to Fred. Fred, okay, was this just a bad mistake to put forward this proposal to basically gut, as it's been said, the Office of Congressional Ethics? I mean, then we hear from the GOP leadership who suddenly do a reverse turn on all of this. Doesn't really give an overall good picture.
Well, look, this is a small thing, and getting rid of that office actually made some sense. I think Peter explained what's wrong with it, but look, the optics were terrible. You know, you don't want to start out. I mean, this is a particularly big year to be throwing out some ethics office, and so I think Trump's intervention and the intervention by Ryan and McCarthy carried the day.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, a big message of Donald Trump was drain the swamp.
Indeed.
And that did not seem to fit the bill, did it?
It didn't, no, not at all.
So what should be the first thing on the agenda? The tweet from Donald Trump saying taxes, health care reform, and so on. What would you like to see the first issue tackled?
Well, I think, as Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, says, it's got to be Obamacare. Obamacare is something that the American people have disliked, the majority of them anyway, have disliked ever since it was passed in 2009. And so that has to be first. Repealing it, then later you'll replace it. I think it has to come pretty soon. They can't wait a couple of years. And they're ready to do something on tax reform, which will help spur the economy. So those are the first two things. And then are all the confirmation hearings. The one to watch is next week, and that's Jeff Sessions, the senator from Alabama, who's been nominated to be Attorney General. Democrats are going to make a big push against him. I think all the Republicans, all 52 in the Senate, will stand with him, but we'll see if there are any fireworks in that. Remember, he was blocked by Democrats back in the 1980s when he'd been nominated for a federal judgeship, and I think we're going to hear some of the things that came up then again next week.
Well, you know, you mentioned that Democrats singling out 8 of Mr. Trump's nominees that they are going to go after. You mentioned one there. We also Jeff Sessions, of course, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Look, ultimately, the Republicans stay together. They're not going to be, you know, they have the ability to get these confirmations through. So what do the Democrats get out of it?
Well, they'll show that they're alive, that they can push back, that they're not patsies, and so they'll go through the motions. But I think, look, if they flop on Jeff Sessions, and I think they won't be able to make any headway against him, there's an organized effort behind his confirmation. It's not just Donald Trump. Then I think Democrats will be demoralized, and the later opposition to nominees won't be as strong.
You know, it's interesting, isn't it? But look, when you have the House, you know, you have the Congress, you have the Senate and the House and the Oval Office, comes with some responsibility. And there are times when they're going to need cooperation across the aisle. Is this something that Donald Trump can do in his administration?
Well, he's going to have to do it. You know, you don't want, look, Democrats can filibuster the replacement for Obamacare, so you're going to need some Democratic votes. I think Republicans can get some, but they'll have to compromise a little. You know, this is what President Obama never wanted to do, was compromise, and that's why he just operated by executive orders. But that's not the best way to do it. So they're going to have to compromise with some Senate Democrats who obviously know the horrible destruction that Obamacare has brought to the Democratic Party. It's been a curse.
But there's also, you could argue, a little bit of some common ground that needs to be found among the Republican Party itself. You have those on the far right and those who are more moderates, and then you have Donald Trump, who's, you know, it's hard to make out what he is at times, depending on the issue, but he can't please all the people all the time within his own party, can he?
No, you can't, and there's some big issues that haven't been resolved yet. I think Republicans are in agreement on Obamacare and tax reform, but then you get to immigration, you get to trade, you get to entitlements, and you get, and this is an important one, how much you're going to spend on infrastructure. Republicans in Congress just pass an expensive highway bill. They don't want to spend a whole lot on infrastructure. And meanwhile, Trump's talking about spending $1 trillion over the next 10 years.
But he has walked back some of those campaign promises, whether it's with the tax brackets and so on. Does that hurt him?
Well, look, it's inevitable. I don't think it hurts him. I think people expect it. I certainly did. And I mean, I don't think the American people are out there pining away to make Mexico pay for a new wall along the southwest border. There are things that, voters aren't stupid. They recognize that there's a lot of exaggeration in campaigns.